Within the last 30 minutes, we spoke to some people who've been allowed to come back in. That's because Atlanta police have lifted that lockdown, that shelter in place, after about 3 hours, blocking off many streets. They are still looking for that suspect as well as a motive. Classes here at UGA are now canceled at least through Monday. Water is still trickling up and rising up. And over here on this side, the same apartment complex, you can see cars submerged waist deep, people using boats and canoes. This is the rambling wreck from Georgia Tech. It is the original 1930 Ford Model A Sport Coupe, and get this, it's made every single home game since 1961. Just within the last 10 minutes, I spoke with Gabe Sterling, the state's voting implementation manager, and he tells me they're expecting around 5.2 million ballots cast. Funeral services as well as celebration of life events take place next week, Monday through Wednesday, both in Plains and here in Atlanta. South Carolina lawmakers will once again consider legalizing sports betting. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg was in Millen today to announce a $12 million project to help ease traffic issues at the city's railroad crossings. South Carolina lawmakers will now consider a new bill that could put illegal fentanyl dealers on the hook for homicide. Georgia is also cracking down on organized retail crime this year, especially as we enter the final stretch of the holiday season. Yeah, he certainly was shaken up. He also said that as he was running before SWAT police confronted him, he said that he saw nurses in one corner running. They were crying. He was just trying to simply make an escape, and he says that he is doing better now. He walked when that lockdown lifted. He walked away back to his car. He says simply this is something you see on the news, something you don't really expect to happen here in Atlanta, and he definitely was taken aback. And again, quickly to put a quick little recap of everything that's unfolded here in Midtown Atlanta over the last 4 hours. That active shooter, 24-year-old Deon Patterson, still on the run. It's the final resting place for many Georgians, including author Margaret Mitchell and Mayor Ivan Allen. Inside Oakland Cemetery, you may come across the graveyard sites of famous mayors, governors, and athletes.
Oakland has 6 governors, 27 mayors, some of the most notable residents, people that have come to visit Maynard Jackson, the city's first black mayor, Bobby Jones, the famous golfer. One of our most recent interments was the musician Kenny Rogers.
So we're standing here at Maynard Jackson Jr.'s gravesite. He was the first African-American mayor of the city of Atlanta and also a large city of the South. He played a major part in making sure that the Olympics came here to create more economic empowerment for the city of Atlanta and also create more jobs.
One popular spot is where golfer Bobby Jones is laid to rest.
This is one of the most famous ones, and especially that time around the Masters, people will often stop here on the way to the tournament. We actually had a bus of tourists who were heading down this year, who all stopped off and left balls. It's the legend goes that if you leave a ball here, it'll take a few strokes off your game. People leave golf balls, tees, pennies. I saw a cookie from Augusta National last week. So people leave all kinds of mementos to mark their visit here.
Another area called Potter's Field has more than 7,000 people buried with stones because they were too poor.
They could not afford a space in the cemetery, but everybody needed a place to be buried. And so this monument sort of is a monument to everybody who's buried here.
Oakland Cemetery sits just blocks from the Georgia State Capitol here in downtown Atlanta. At 48 acres with more than 70,000 residents, there's still more room and land for people to be buried here. They just have to buy a plot. And it's not just the graveyard sites and the tours that brings people here to Oakland Cemetery. There's also weddings, festivals, and other events, as well as cultural celebrations that are taking place here at Oakland Cemetery, including Juneteenth, as well as Halloween festivities.
In 1850, the city of Atlanta needed a cemetery for the city, and they purchased 6 acres right here on Memorial Drive, which was Old Fair Street at the time. So we're about a mile east of the Capitol building, right here in the heart of Southeast Atlanta. A little bit down the road is Grant Park, and it was called City Cemetery until the 1870s, when City Council changed the name to Oakland for all of the beautiful oaks and the tree canopy that we have here in the cemetery.
Oakland Cemetery brings in more than 150,000 visitors every year to discover the untold stories of Georgia's history.
But I think everybody who comes here falls in love with the stories of this city that are told through the cemetery and the people residing here. We like to say that this is where Atlanta's history lives.
Reporting in Atlanta, Archith Seshadri, Atlanta Bureau Chief. This is the Rambling Wreck from Georgia Tech. It is the original 1930 Ford Model A Sport Coupe, and get this, it's made every single home game since 1961. And a little bit more to show you, take a look at this. This is a shield that students put together with the old Yellow Jackets logo of Buzz, but the Rambling Wreck is the original mascot of Georgia Tech's Yellow Jackets because students wanted to showcase the engineering prowess behind the Rambling Wreck. Only one Georgia Tech student a year gets to drive the Rambling Wreck.
I try to drive for about an hour and a half to 2 hours a day. I just crossed the 2,000 mile mark on the year, which I think is very impressive on a campus whose road is maybe a mile and a half long. So I'm doing a lot of laps, and I love picking up students and taking them home or taking them to class, wherever they want to go.
And this year, those honors go to fourth-year industrial engineering student Omer Khan, voted in by the Rambling Wreck Club.
I can pull the car out of the garage and everyone's faces just light up. They get so excited. I'm driving around campus, everyone's waving, they ask for the horn, other cars honk for me to honk back. It's a really great opportunity to be able to have that impact on the community by just driving around.
It not only goes to football games, but also gets to drive all around campus, picking up students, picking up folks coming to check out the campus, and sometimes if we're lucky, we may also give Buzz a ride. Khan's favorite place to drive is the iconic Tech Tower in the heart of campus.
I love to do a loop around there and stage right in front of the Tech Tower so we can get great pictures of our students, faculty, just the wreck alone.
Students need a valid driver's license to drive the Rambling Wreck.
We try to stay within 5 miles of campus here, just for safety purposes. We don't want to go further than that. You know, we're missing some safety features on this car because it is a 1930. I try to also avoid at nighttime as well because the headlights aren't advanced. You know, we have LED lights, they're so advanced nowadays. These, we can't really see very far.
And that's the buzz around Georgia Tech's campus this fall. What is a good word?
The good word is to hell with Georgia.
What is a good word?
To hell with Georgia.
And what's a good word?
To hell with Georgia.
Reporting at Georgia Tech, Archith Seshadri, Atlanta Bureau Chief. Andrew Young has worn many hats throughout his career, including being the mayor of Atlanta, a former UN ambassador, a politician, as well as an activist. But he says setting up the Andrew Young Foundation about 15 years ago fulfills his life purpose. The organization helps communities around the world to feed the homeless, help educate people, and clothe people who are poor. And he says that is his mission, to do things that people typically would not do. Born in New Orleans back in 1932, Ambassador Andrew Young is looking back at some of the key moments in his life. He initially studied to be a dentist and went to Howard University, but says destiny had other plans for him.
I've had a good life, starting out as a preacher in small churches in rural Alabama and Georgia. Then I spent 4 years in New York with the National Council of Churches. Then in 1960, when the student sit-in started, we sold our home in New York and came back to Atlanta. I learned to live with people who were different and who disagreed with me and whom I disagreed with, but my father always said, don't get mad, get smart. He said, if you lose your temper in a fight, you lose the fight.
Young says he drew inspiration from leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. and Mahatma Gandhi, focusing on leading with nonviolence.
I remember we were in a march in Chicago, and it was this young lady came up to him and called him names and said, get out of town. And he just looked at it and he said, you know, you're much too beautiful to be so mean. And it shocked her. And when we came back, she ran out in front of the demonstration and said, Dr. King, I'm sorry, you were right. I'm sorry I was so mean.
Young says he returned to Atlanta to be part of the change in the South during race relations and segregation.
I decided that we had to be more aggressive in forcing change. And I began working with Martin Luther King Jr. I never saw him really get angry. He was very calm. Even when somebody came up to him and hit him, he didn't even make an effort to defend himself or duck. He just said, he took the blow and he said, "Is there something I've done to offend you? Can I do something to help you? What are you upset about?"
Young says his motto, which is live and let live, helped him play a key role in the passage of the Voting Rights Act of 1965.
The most important thing we can learn is to live together as brothers and sisters, or we will perish together as fools.
Andrew Young went to college at the age of 15, and he graduated at the tender age of 19. In fact, he's received more than 150 honorary degrees from colleges and universities around the country. In fact, some of those colleges even turned him down. Coming up in the spring, National Jewish Health will honor him for a campaign called Forever Young. Reporting in Atlanta, Archith Seshadri, Atlanta Bureau Chief.